straight pro at it. Adding these integers, yeah, straight pro at it. Show 'em what you talking about. I'm into my math, yeah. Nah, I ain't into ya. Straight pro at adding these integers. Stay sharp, feel sorry for these dummies. Ain't a crook in the world gonna take my money if the signs are the same. Keep it, add that. If they different, take the bigger one, subtract that. Signs are the same. Keep it, add that. If they different, take the bigger one, subtract that. Signs are the same. Keep it, add that. If they different, take the bigger one, subtract that. Signs are the same. Keep it, add that. If they different, take the bigger one, subtract that. Straight pro at it, straight pro at it, straight pro at adding these integers. Straight pro at it, straight pro at it, straight pro at it. What's up, scholars? This is Mrs. Finney with Lyrical Math. This is our track tutorial for our song Straight Pro. This track covers the math concept for adding integers, and what you just heard are the 2 rules for adding integers. The learning objective for this song is for you to practice reciting and memorizing those 2 rules so that you can be a straight pro anytime you have to add integers. Let's get started. Straight pro at it. Adding these integers. Straight pro at it. Adding these integers. Yeah, straight pro at it. Show 'em what you talking about. I'm into my math, yeah. Nah, I ain't into ya. Straight pro at adding these integers. Stay sharp, feel sorry for these dummies. Ain't a crook in the world gonna take my money if the signs are the same. Keep it, add that. If they different, take the bigger one, subtract that. Signs are the same. Keep it, add that. If they different, take the bigger one, subtract that. Straight pro at it, straight pro at it, straight pro at adding these integers. Straight pro at it, straight pro at it, straight pro at it. All right, let's get started with our first example. And we're going to look at rule number 1 first. Rule number 1 says, if the signs are the same, keep it, add that. What does that mean? If we have 2 add-ins, and add-ins are the numbers that you're adding together in an addition problem, and they have the same sign, meaning they're either both negative or they're both positive. What you're going to do in those cases, you're going to keep the sign and add the absolute values of those 2 add-ins. So in this case, we're going to keep the negative sign because both integers are what? Negative. So that means that our sum, which is the answer to an addition problem, is also going to be negative. I'm just going to note that here. Next, we're going to find the absolute value of each of these integers. What is the absolute value? It sounds deep, but it's not. It's simply the distance that the integer is from 0. So how far is -4 from 0? It is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces from 0. So that means the absolute value of -4 is 4. So I'm going to write that down here. Next, we find the absolute value of -2, meaning how far is -2 from what? 0. Start at 0, go to -2. It is 1, 2 spaces from 0. So we're going to add those 2 absolute values together. Keep in mind the lyrics. If the signs are the same, keep it, add that. So we're going to add these together, and what do we get? 4 plus 2 is 6. That tells us that our sum, our answer is -6. Peep game, you got it? Awesome! Let's look at the next one. If the signs are the same, keep it, add that. In this case, they both have a positive sign. So we're going to keep the positive sign, and that means our sum is going to be what? Positive. Do I need to write a little plus to show that my sum is positive? No. If there is no sign there, if you don't see a negative sign, we know that it is a positive number. So the answer is going to be positive. I'm going to add the absolute values of 3 and 1. How far is 3 from 0? Let's see. It is 1, 2, 3 spaces from 0. And we're going to write that down. Check that out. Next, we're going to see how far is +1 from 0. It is what? 1 space from 0. So we're going to add those absolute values together. 3 plus 1 gives us what? 4. So our final answer in this case is going to be positive 4. We can go back and actually illustrate these two answers. Check this out. If I start at 0 and I have negative 4, that tells me I'm going to go 4 spaces to the left. Which way? To the left, to the left. Anytime it's negative, go to the left. So I'm going 4 spaces to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And since I'm adding a negative 2, I'm going to continue to the left because that's negative. And I go 1, 2 spaces. And I land at negative 6 to prove that the answer is actually negative 6. We can do the same over here. We start at 0. We have a positive 3. So we go 3 spaces to the right. If the number is positive, it tells you to go to the right. And we're adding a positive 1. That positive 1 also tells us to go to the right. So where we stop, we keep going 1 more space. And that shows that we end up at positive 4, as we see here. All right, so these two are examples of if the signs are the same, keep it, add that. Let's check out what we do if the signs are different. Here we have negative 6 plus 4. So if they're different, take the bigger one, subtract that. What does that mean? If the signs are different, in this case we have a negative and we have a positive, you want to take the sign of the number that has the largest, the biggest absolute value. So which one is the farthest from 0 basically? Negative 6 is 6 spaces from 0. Positive 4 is 4 spaces from 0. Clearly negative 6 is the farthest from 0. It has the biggest absolute value. So we want to take the sign of negative 6, meaning our sum is going to be what? Negative. And we want to take those two absolute values and subtract that. So negative 6 is 6 spaces from 0. Positive 4 is 4 spaces from 0. And we're going to subtract those two. We know 6 minus 4 is what? 2. So this tells us our answer is negative 2. See that? All right, next we're going to do the same thing over here. If the signs are the same, keep it, add that. But if they're different, take the bigger one, subtract that. In this case, these are different. 7 is positive, negative 2 is negative. We need to know which one has the biggest absolute value. Which one is the farthest from 0? Think about it. Starting at 0, we will go 7 spaces to the right. Or starting at 0, we will only go 2 spaces to the left. Clearly, 7 is the farthest from 0. So we want to take the sign of 7, meaning our sum is going to be positive, like positive 7. Do we need to put a plus? No. If the number is positive, you don't write anything next to it. We just know that it is positive. We're going to subtract their two absolute values. 7 is 7 spaces from 0. Negative 2 is 2 spaces from 0. And we want to subtract 7 minus 2 gives us what? 5. So our answer is positive 5. We can go back and illustrate both of these, starting at 0. Negative 6 will take us 6 spaces to the what? Left. And positive 4 will take us 4 spaces back to the right from where we stopped. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. We stopped at negative 2. Going over here, we want to start at 0. Which way would we go for positive 7? To the right. 7 spaces to the right is going to bring us here. And since we're adding negative 2, that's going to take us 2 spaces back to the left from where we stopped. So we're going to go 1, 2 spaces back to the left. That stops us at positive 5. All right? So this is our examples of if the signs are the same, keep it, add that. If they're different, take the bigger one, subtract that. Signs are the same, keep it, add that. If they're different, take the bigger one, subtract that. Thank you so much for joining me for this track tutorial. Come back for more. I'll see you again. Peace.